6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
McCaig, Wertz,
Here.
Johnson, Rust,
Here.
Trent, Griffin,
Here.
Ware,
Here.
Campbell.
Here. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Now is the time for public comment. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board? The format is everybody has got 3 minutes to address the board. Everybody has 3 minutes.
When does it start? It hasn't started yet, has it? Hello, my name is Ambrose, and I would like to say hello to the board. I'm here tonight. Well, first, I'd like to thank the God of creation, the Lord Jesus Christ, for the privilege to speak here tonight. I'm going to speak about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but as I noticed it was brought up in the last meeting a month ago or so. But anyway, if you know what diversity means, I don't know if a lot of you do, but diversity means deference or preference. And that's just the opposite of the Bible. God says he's no respecter of persons. We don't need that kind of teaching here at the college. We are all created equal. Equity means equal or fair, and that's diabolically wrong from the Bible. God's word teaches justice and mercy. Inclusion, these are dictionary terms now. Inclusion is to put in a total category, and that's just the opposite of the Bible too. He's given each one of us individual liberty. He's promised us life, liberty, and anyway, he teaches responsibility too. So does the Constitution of the United States. If you read it, we the people, we're the ones in charge. The Bible also teaches us we need a Savior. If you haven't been born again, then you're dead in your trespasses and sin. If you haven't accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior, you're a dead man walking around spiritually. We have states that have already forbidden this DEI. Florida has already forbidden it. There's a bunch of states that are, numerous states that have laws that are going into effect. Just say no to diversity. I hope you all care about the young people that are going to be here listening to this kind of teaching. And if you're wise, you won't try to teach them diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's not good. It's not good for the students, and it's not good for society. Oh, thank you. Thank you, board.
the FY24 tentative budget presentations.
So I'll take a moment here and share a narrative with the board, as is tradition. This will frame some of the highlights in the upcoming budget that will be posted and then, of course, brought for your consideration in July. So this year's fiscal year 2024 tentative budget reflects a continued endeavor the college is focusing on with our student-centered strategic plan. The college has a history of accomplishment in teaching and learning programs and economic development in services to the people of our district, region, and state. As has been reported each month with our budget health review, we expect to end fiscal year 2023 with revenues exceeding expenditures. As in the past, the entire team has done a remarkable job of staying within budget while focusing on growing enrollment strategies, and of course, what's core to us is our team building approach. So fiscal year 24 budget. As to the tentative budget presented tonight for fiscal year 24, all of us, particularly our finance individuals, Mary Schulte, Cindy McCoy, along with the entire campus team, have worked very hard to construct Lewis and Clark's fiscal year 24 budget. Since fiscal year 2024 state funding allocations were not available from ICCB at the time of the tentative budget was due to be posted, we are projecting our revenues for the funding sources. Considering qualifying factors, we are projecting level funding for base operating grant revenue, an increase in equalization grant revenue, and a decrease in our career and technical education grant revenues. Our tax revenues are based on 6 out of 7 actual EAVs. Since Calhoun County has been unable to provide us with our anticipated 2022 EAV, we projected conservatively with a 3% increase for its valuation. Scott County had a 3.3% increase on the low side, and Macoupin County was on the high side at 8.67% increase. The Lewis and Clark budget is responsible and accountable while at the same time allowing for targeted growth by funding a replacement full-time faculty position in nursing, as well as a combined position in graphic design and web design and development programs. As you know from our reorganizational structure work, we are continuing to be careful in our evaluation of each position that becomes open and are working to construct positions in a way that represent a long-term essential need for the institution. The fiscal year 24 operating budget philosophy continues to be bottom-up, with every division of the college participating in the budget process. The fiscal year 24 tentative operating budget has expenditures in excess of $33.9 million and presents an increase of approximately $1.8 million over the fiscal year 23 operating budget. The fiscal year 24 budget places special emphasis on the strategic plan and enrollment and recruitment while maintaining reliability in other support functions of the college. As with other years, it is important to emphasize the work being done by our team members in securing competitive grants and contracts. I would like to make it known that in addition to what is considered the operating budget, $33.9 million, there is approximately an additional $10.8 million budgeted in competitive grant programs and contracts to fund services, innovation, research, and instruction. The state budget also includes reappropriation of prior capital bill projects in its fiscal year 24 plan, in addition to the $37.5 million for the purpose of completely renovating the main complex. Money has been reappropriated for a daycare facility, engineering annex, and work on the Trimpe greenhouse. The 4 project appropriations combined a total of $41,725,000. All of the projects are appropriated from the Capital Development Bond Fund. We are still waiting on guidance from the state as to how and when the funds for the latter 3 projects will be released and made available to the institution to pursue these projects. And those specific 3 projects are, again, are the Trimpe greenhouse, the engineering annex, and the daycare facility. Additional highlights for fiscal year 24, continuance of fully insured group health insurance for full-time employees, which was at an increase of 8.8%. Salary increases of 4% for full-time faculty and 5% for full-time staff. The total operating budget is just over $32.5 million in revenues, and here are some highlights to that. 21.5% of our budget, which is approximately $7 million, is planned from the state of Illinois through the Illinois Community College Board. 47.9%, which is approximately $15.5 million, is planned from the college district. 26.6%, approximately $8.6 million, is planned from tuition and fees. 1.2% of our budget, approximately $500,000, represents other sources such as sales and services, investment revenue, and facility rentals. 2.8%, just under $1,900,000, are funds potentially transferred in from indirect cost from the restricted grants and programs. The operating budget reflects revenues to be approximately $1.4 million less than expenses for fiscal year '24. The excess in expenses will come from the surplus in our operating fund, and again want to emphasize that in the last 3 years, we've increased our fund balance by $4.8 million through a number of changes and reorganizational focus areas for the college. So our purpose here is to reinvest those dollars strategically into the institution. As we have continued to report our monthly budget update, the college has been receiving an unprecedented high allocation of CPPRT revenue. Lost revenue dollars is also contributing to the healthy surplus in the college's operating fund. This surplus is allowing the college, again, the opportunity to make additional investment into the college strategic plan that would otherwise not be possible. Total budgeted operating fund expenditures total approximately $33.9 million. More than one half of that, 56.1 of the total operating budget, is in direct support of instruction, academic support, and student services, exactly where it should be. Our fiscal year '23 budget was just about 60.6%. Operations and maintenance represents 21.6% of the operating budget. Our FY '23 budget was 19.3%, so we're just a tad higher than we were last year. Instructional support, scholarships, and public services represent 19.2% of the operating budget. Fiscal year '23 was 17.4%. Interfund transfers represent 3.1% of our operating budget. That's up just a tad from 2.7% last year. And total salaries are at 58.8% of the total operating budget this year. Last year, we were at 62.8%, so this year we're down just about 4%. So those are some of the highlights of the budget. With this, I do recommend that this budget be presented to the board for your review and, of course, your subsequent approval at next month's meeting. And I do also want to thank the board for being participants in this year's process. You know, we've tried some new things this year in terms of helping guide the team and the board through our priorities and where we would like to focus as we continue to invest in the future of Lewis and Clark. So thank you for your consideration, and thank you for the opportunity to present this budget. Thank you.
An enrollment update from Dr. Jackson.
Good evening. Just a quick update for our enrollment management plan that was actually adopted and approved by the board December 13th of 2022. Just as I said at the board retreat last week, it is a working document. So it is a 3-year management plan draft, meaning that it is directly related to KD1. So our efforts for KD1 continue to influence and motivate our enrollment management plan. So, for example, one thing that we're doing, we're currently in the process of sourcing and hiring a full-time director of enrollment management and admissions, which will be a key role in continuing to advance our enrollment forward. As our last enrollment update from Monday, June 5th, we were at a 12.1% increase from the last time this year. So June 6th of 2022 to June 5th of 2023, we saw that increase of 12.1%. We continue to push for enrollment through the summer. We're continuing to register students, and then we have our Summer Fest coming up, which is a community event where we are having family fun. So we're having balloon animals, bounce house, rock climbing wall, just an opportunity for the community to come out and see the campus, as well as students to have that last minute opportunity to enroll into our fall courses. So that is July 13th, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you.
Yes.
The omnibus agenda.
The omnibus agenda is presented for a vote. Is there any item that the board would like to be held out or voted separately? If not, is there a motion to approve the omnibus agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
McCaig,
Yes.
Trent. Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes. Action items, the organization restructure.
So I can comment on that if you'd like. That's a pretty simple one. We're just asking to change the name of West to kind of refocus the orientation of that center. And then this is kind of the prequel to a number of changes we'll bring next month, which are just refocusing of roles and responsibilities, including a new focus on leadership in West. So this is just the name change for West.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Second. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent. Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz.
Yes.
The DEI blueprint.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
As you know, I've had a lot of reservations about this, but I'm going to trust Dr. Traska and his team this time. Yes.
Trent.
Motion passed.
Adjustments to accounts receivable.
Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware.
Yes. Resolution 23-18, review of closed session audio.
Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a quick question. If we did want to review the audio, how would we go about doing that?
I tried to attach it to board docs for you, and you weren't able to, I wasn't able to do that, so you could have come in the office.
Just come to your office?
Yes.
Okay.
Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent.
Motion approved.
Resolution 23-19, reappointment of professional, managerial, and executive managerial team members.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Trent. Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust.
Yes.
Adjust the compensation structure salary ranges for FY '24 by 2.5%.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move. Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent.
Team member compensation increase recommendation for FY '24.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent.
Motion approved.
The compression adjustment proposal plan.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Yeah, I'd like a
go
couple
ahead.
of things. In the first paragraph, it says, salary compression often occurs when the pay of one employee or groups of employees earn salaries over time that creep closer to the pay of more experienced employees in the same or similar jobs. And under at least two different salary systems that I saw and used, that would be considered to be relatively normal. It just happens over time, but that's when you have having incorporated performance evaluation into the compensation system. It goes on to say, sometimes even those in non-managerial roles growing closer in salary to those with management roles. Again, that can be very normal. If you have certain types of technicians, I'm not saying we have those people here at college, I don't think we do, but it's common for certain positions that are not managerial to actually get paid more than managers just because of the job market. So, then my last thing is on a few sentences down, it says, and this is again still in the first paragraph, ongoing concerns expressed regard long-term team members who are at or near the minimum of their salary range. And that's definitely a concern. That should never happen. The last thing I have to say is that we said it said here that the investment is $275,000. That's $275,000 per year, of course.
That's a one-time investment. I mean, upfront, right, but it continues.
But
But we're not making it every year.
Oh, you're not going to build it into their salary?
It's a one-time adjustment that we're making to the salaries.
But it's going to be adjusted,
Yeah, right,
adjustment of
right,
salary.
yeah.
So next year,
Yep.
it's going to be $275,000 plus whatever increase.
Yeah, we're not going to take 275 away from them, so.
Not going to take it away from them. So what my point is, like, that just arbitrarily, if you say after 5 years, that's $1.5 million. I'm not saying that as in opposition to this necessarily, but I just want to make sure that people are more sensitive to the overall costs of some of these changes that are made. And it's not just a one-time 275, it's 275 the first year, then 286, then 297, and so on, all the way up to $222,000 a year after on and after year 5, and it continues after that. So I think it's important that we're sensitive to that. Amen.
Yeah. And I think that's a great comments. I think it's just a matter of, are we willing and ready to make an investment in the team. This actual study was implemented over 5 years ago, and last year was the first time an adjustment was made. We struggle to be competitive with our salaries, which I know I've talked to the board about this, and this is a way to get our folks to where they deserve to be, and we want to continue to make those investments. I would also say that in order to do this, we've made significant changes in the campus to be able to afford the opportunity to bring this to our team. So that would be my perspective on it.
Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Wertz, oh, no, sorry, Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes. Resolution 23-20, authorizing the reduction in force and honorable dismissal of full-time staff.
Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust.
Yes.
Ratification of selected employee group insurance plans effective July 1st, 2023.
Do I have a motion approved?
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes. Resolution 23-21, public hearing FY '24 proposed budget.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent, Ware.
Yes. Amendment of District 7 License Agreement.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes. License Agreement with Madison County ROE 41.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second? Discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wertz.
Yes.
The authorization, to authorize the administration to issue an RFP for an auditor.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, yeah. What year are we talking about here? For auditing, what year? So June 30th of '23? Yeah, well, when we did this the last time, back in, actually, we authorized RFP back in November of '21, and it wasn't until June of '22 that we actually looked at any bids, that the board looked at any bids. That's 8 months. Is it? That's not going to be acceptable in this case. How are we going to get around that?
As soon as the board, if the board were to approve this, we would immediately go out for a request for proposals and hopefully bring
well-
that to the board in July or August. I mean,
Well, did we not do it as quickly as we could last time?
I don't know, Mayor, I think we did it as quickly as we could based on the approvals. But I don't know if were we not getting responses? Is that what the issue was last time? Mary, do you recall? I know there's some specifics she could share.
I don't remember the exact calendar that we followed then, but I know we put it out for RFP, I believe. It was early spring, mid-spring. It was around Easter. And then we were told that we needed to extend. So we did an amendment to the bid and left it open longer. So that some individuals who felt there needed to be a longer response time than our typical response time, so they had that longer response to reply. And so yes, we were later in the spring. But I don't have that calendar in front of me as to what that looked like. But,
So we're probably
but everyone
a
who,
couple of months behind.
but everyone who responded knew the timelines and the due dates.
Does that help?
Well, it's kind of vague. Mary, you might want to stay up there, because I think my next question is probably for you, or why are we doing this? We just did this for the first time last year, right?
We are doing this because the company that we hired was 2 months late and getting a bid. We were supposed to have it done by the end of November or December, and we got it in February.
It was due December 31st.
And we got it in February, and they had no explanation why. I felt that we don't need to reward them with another year contract when they didn't perform the first year. And
Well, we knew that this was, that this audit was going to take more time because we were changing auditors. And given the fact that we knew that, why did we not file for an extension before November 15th?
because they didn't tell us they weren't going to have it done before the deadline to file for an extension.
Did we ask?
We were told, Mary, you need to answer
Yeah,
that question.
so, I mean, I can start, but, so, there was never any indication that we needed to file for an extension. There was never a signal from the auditor to say, hey, we need more time. When they told us they needed more time, we were past that deadline. Now, in terms of filing for extensions, you can file for an extension with a reason beforehand. So if we know we're going with a new auditor, we could technically say now to the state, we need to file for an extension now because we anticipate a little bit more time because of this new auditor.
Could we have done that back then?
We could have done a lot of things back then, I suppose. Yeah.
Did we not file for extensions the 2 previous years?
I don't recall.
We did not have to file for extensions. We were granted extensions because of the HERF requirements. The Illinois Community College Board gave system-wide extensions.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some some guidelines that were needed to audit the HERF funds that weren't released yet. And so the first year we did start to apply, and then they just gave it system-wide. And when we had the same situation for compliance documents in year 2, it was automatically system-wide. No, we don't just request an extension to request an extension. We had no reason to request an extension. They accepted the job. They knew what the due dates were. They were telling me in November we were going to have it. They were telling me in December we were going to have it. So no, I can't. If they don't indicate that there's a problem, I have no reason to expect that there's a problem. Now, I've learned from that, and I would expect, the next time I would do it just because I've experienced this, but I had no reason to think that they would not be filing on time.
No, you're not a mind reader. If
No,
they
I'm
don't
not.
signal to you that they're going to be late, then you have no reason to believe you need an extension.
They knew when they were due.
And then when they told you we're going to be late, it was too late to file for an extension.
It was like the days before Christmas. 21st, 22nd, when they said, hey, we're not going to make it, and it's due on the 30th. I don't know why the 30th, but it's due on the 30th of December.
That's why I don't think we need to reward this company with another contract.
What were the repercussions? What were the repercussions of being late? Did we receive a fine? Were we fined?
No, we're not fined. Just as we said early this year, there's no fine. It's just an overdue report. And when it comes to recognition reviews and reporting, we have to answer for that. It's not okay to not file your reports
So
on
there's
time.
no negative repercussions, or really nothing happened?
No negative repercussions.
Financially, yeah.
Right.
But a recognition report from ICCB, you want those reports to be clean, and that's where this would be cited. It's sort of like our HLC visit, you know, you want that to be perfect, but, you know, they find things and you have to fix them. We had an experience, we want to fix the problem and have a smoother operation for our finance team. And I can tell you personally, just knowing the hustle that Mary and her team put in, and then having to be sort of dragged through not having this prepared, and of course it puts tension on the team because they're now beginning to move into the spring, which we begin budget process, et cetera. So, you know, personally, I would like somebody with more experience and that would follow the timeline and be held accountable in my perspective. But, you know, I don't get the vote, I just look at it.
Yeah, let me speak to that. You said more experience. I'm reading from the bid sheet dated June 14th of 2022, and it says here, we are recommending Whipley. Based on a review of the proposals, our recommendation is to contract with the firm of Whipley LLP for auditing services for the next 3 years. While $3,500 more than the lowest bidder, so we didn't select the lowest bidder, Whipley brings significantly more experience with community colleges and community college audits and meets the requirements of the RFP and is highly recommended.
Well, that was a total misjudgment on our part, and so we want to move forward and correct it.
So,
I don't think it's a misjudgment. They are highly recommended.
Well, can I ask a question, please? So outside of their failure to meet schedule, were there any other performance issues with them?
I'll let you answer that since you work closely with them.
Was it perfect? No. Was it anything that would keep me from working with them again? No. I mean, it wasn't anything like that. And I believe, and I know you weren't on the board at the time, I had given some examples of perhaps some lack of knowledge and general experience with the people that were actually here doing the work. What I experienced with this firm, different from a local firm, was we were used to having a partner and a manager drop in, you know, spend some time on site. In this environment, we did a lot through a portal, which was fine. But the people that were actually here on site were not any decision makers. I didn't meet Sarah till she came to present to the board, other than I have met her at a CFO conference, but she wasn't here on site. The one that worked under her, Josh, was not here on site. It wasn't a good, positive first experience, but as I had stated in a meeting we had with them, I mean, do I think we can't work with them again? No, I'm not saying that. But that agreement that we had with them was that we would renew each year so that there was an out for either party if this wasn't working.
So have they been notified?
I had to notify them because they had an engagement letter that they wanted us to sign, and we basically told her we couldn't do that right now.
Okay. So they know this.
When did you receive that engagement letter?
Oh, gosh, maybe a month ago.
Month ago? Yeah, about a month ago.
Month ago.
I'd say toward the
So I have a
early
question.
May.
So why did you switch from whoever you used before, and were they ever?
It was
like,
requested by the members of the board that we go
Was
out.
there ever an issue with whoever you used before you switched to this company?
No.
Okay.
Mary, I have a couple questions. First of all, did they ever offer any kind of explanation as to why they were late?
I think they ran in, some challenges, time challenges of their own. And I do know that some of them did cancel time to try to get this audit done for us, some personal time. I don't know what they were all juggling. I know that some people that were there at the audit then kind of disappeared. I don't know if they went to work on another one. There were periods of time where we didn't hear from them.
Okay.
I know that they felt a need to restate a couple of items, and I feel like this first year particularly, we spent a lot of time, they spend a lot of time re-auditing the prior year, and it would be the same if we switch auditors again, because, they look for things to restate.
Second question is, I'm not sure I'm right about this, but were they reluctant to come to make a presentation?
They asked if they could present remotely, and the recommendation was that they should come in person, especially the first year.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I see no downside to an RFP.
I think if you mentioned when they did come, the people they sent were not really experienced, and they just checked the boxes. I think the word.
I did use the term check. I felt like some of the requests they were making of us was, just to check a box for certain items. I'm not going to say they didn't have experience. Aaron, I believe, was one of the leaders here, and, he did have, I think, more of he was the lead here on site, but I don't know what his experience was. I know there was a question, an odd question about the posting of some state revenue that was in line with what was in the fiscal management manual, and it was being questioned. So it was a base. So, when you're encountering some of that, some questions as to what a due to account is and what it means, I don't know.
So then are we prepared to, one, ensure that we approach this RFP to avoid some of the pitfalls that we encountered last time, and two, to address, I think what I'm hearing from Kevin, schedule concerns? Are we going to be able to push this through in a timely fashion in order to stay on schedule?
Is that a question for me?
I think it's a question for anyone that wants to answer it.
I mean, Mary and her team are in the weeds on this.
I'll just be honest, I've had concerns, and I've expressed those to Dr. Traska, that I'm afraid at this late date, getting someone in here, especially if it's a new firm, we go back to Schlosser, we know that they would have that experience. I don't know that Schlosser wants us. Shuffle, we would be their first community college, as I understand it. Yeah, I'm concerned, but this isn't, in the end, this doesn't get to be my decision. Ideally, if I would have had my way, as I told Dr. Trask, I said, for me, it's Whitley or it's Schlosser. But I realize that when we go out for RFP, we don't get that. And I say that because those are the two that now have some knowledge of Lewis and Clark in our processes. I don't know if Whitley wants us back now. They could have gone and gotten other work, just like Schlosser went out and replaced us with other work. It's June something, and I do have a concern, but we will do whatever we need to do to try to get this through. I will tell you that if we going to another auditor, I am going to request an extension, because I know what can happen now, based on the fact that we have a new auditor. But I will not do that every year, because we should expect that our deadlines are met.
But that would be an option that we could do if we got another auditor, if we could go ahead and file for an extension.
Can't be any worse than this year.
That's what, yeah, that's my point.
I mean, the worst part is going to be for me and my team, working with a firm that may not have any familiarity. And, I talked to the individual last year when they submitted an RFP, and they can read and they can do the research. But the one thing that I thought Whitley brought to us last year was some experience. And there's no doubt they were a bigger firm. They had better, they had more robust software than Schlosser had. They had the tools, but they're bigger to have the bigger toys. I don't know that we're looking for someone with bigger toys as much as someone that can turn the work around for us. So, I mean, I defer to the board. Whatever, we're prepared. We've got the ad ready to go. I've got my draft RFP from last time. There was nothing really wrong with the RFP. In fact, I had requested, I believe, that field work not begin until September 1st, and Whitley began their field work, I believe in October, in person in October. So we didn't have a restrictive timeline. This isn't our timeline that caused this. But, you know, it's like, okay, you gave us something better than we even asked for, but we didn't have the audit on time.
So even if we went and, let's say, we brought recommendations to the board in August, that gives ample time to begin field work. I mean, you're essentially falling into the same timeline. And in Whipley, they started the field work late, and that was on them, not on us.
Well, they
Is that-
started the field work late, but their intent was to do the field work in October again, and that they would have a draft report to us, you know. and
But
have
if
it
they
back
would have
then.
started it early, when they should have, arguably, they
Depends
could have
on their
been done.
reason for being late. If it was staffing, if it was, with GAP, I don't know. I don't know if it needed the right set of eyes. They have review over review over review over review. And yet, the day after they presented the audit here, I went back and found a rather large mistake in the audit draft. But because it didn't change the bottom, or on the audit, because it didn't change the bottom line, we didn't reissue it. But I've got marked up copies. So they all make mistakes.
So did you say that if we change auditors, you'll automatically apply for an extension?
I will now.
But you didn't last year?
Had no reason to. I had no reason to suspect
You had the
that they
same
would not.
reason then as you have now?
It had never
with
happened.
Changing auditors?
It had never, I had no reason to think it wouldn't happen that way. I know, I've learned now, I've experienced it. I shouldn't have to request an extension. I don't care who we switch to, if they've committed to the job. But I'm going to protect the college and request one.
Didn't they tell you they were gonna have it done? In
Yes,
time?
they
Yeah,
did.
they
They
did.
told me so at the end of November.
So,
They told
I mean-
me so in December.
That's right. So why would you apply for an extension?
And in all fairness, this is the first time that you had gone through a change in having an auditor.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
We
And
all
I
have
will,
to
I think
learn.
this is interesting too, when I asked about it, Sarah said she wasn't aware of a deadline on the extension, but yet they have all these community colleges. I don't, live and learn, I've learned.
So it almost seems like we want to cut off our nose to spite our face here.
We don't have a good situation
We
either way,
want
that's my 2
to, we want to
cents.
punish, the idea is that we want to punish Whipley, right? We want to punish them, but yet, there was no cost, there was no negative repercussions of what happened. Yes, it was a bad situation, I agree. But Whitley is just as qualified now as they were then. And I see no reason to make a change this year. We have a policy that we only change, like, we're going to look at it every 5 years. That was the policy that we agreed to. And I just don't think, it does say that there's the trustees reserve the right to select a different auditor mid-cycle if conditions warrant. But those conditions are over with now. We're late, we can't change that, it's been late. There's no real reason to change auditors, unless we're gonna find somebody that's better qualified than Whipley and is cheaper. And I haven't heard, what if Whipley bids again, quotes again?
They aren't going to. She told me they will not.
So
Yeah,
based
after-
on that, it sounds like we don't really have a choice.
Yeah, after we reneged on we have a choice, they'll continue to be our auditors if we don't change. But,
I think we discussed this, and I'd like to call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
No.
Wertz,
Yes?
Rust,
no,
Trent?
Motion passes.
New certificate program, licensed practical nurse / licensed vocational nurse, LPN, LVN.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Ware?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Wertz?
Yes.
Rust?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes. Professor Emerita recommendation, Gerald Mosier.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Rust?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Ware?
Yes.
Wertz?
Yes.
Informational items?
If there are any questions on any of these, I'm happy to address those or call team members up that may have more detail. But all the information is in each item, so pretty straightforward ones.
Do you want to adjourn?
Yes.
Adjourn open session?
Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
He just said that.
President report, I can do that. I mean, I have no. Just a couple things. So we had an all-team meeting today, 160 team members. We went over the insurance changes, and that went really well. Gave some updates, obviously, on budget. Main complex, we're planning a follow-up meeting with Hastings and Chevetta, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, to begin looking at the budget of that project and trying to scale that down, sort of scope some things out, and then as the project schematics evolve, perhaps we can scope some things back in. New website launches this Friday. That's been a huge undertaking. Taking Laura Inlow and her team on the marketing and PR side have done a great job. And so, yeah, so everything is moving forward. We're looking forward to the new fiscal year. Lots of great excitement this summer. And also want to thank the board again for a great retreat last week and for supporting the work going forward. So that concludes my quick report. Thank you all.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
McCaig?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Ware?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Wertz?
Yes.
Rust?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes. Begin closed session?